Hello and welcome to Current News. I am Amrit Upadhyay. Cheers to health, happiness and prosperity in 2022. All of you stay healthy and take care of yourself. So let us first look at the headlines. The news of relief amid the fear of third wave. 2 COVID vaccines, Corbevax and Covovax get approval. Corbevax becomes India's first indigenously made recombinant protein subunit vaccine. India's success on its commitments to the environment achieved the goals of nationally determined contributions. Renewable energy efficiency now 40.1%. India's strict action on Chinese products. Anti-dumping duty announced on 5 Chinese products. The decision came after recommendations of the Directorate General of Trade Remedies. Consumer Protection Direct Selling Rules 2021 issued. These rules will be applicable to all direct selling entities, a crackdown on the pyramid scheme. And Bharatiya Kisan Union against CECA between India and Australia. Voices of protest intensify for the interests of farmers in India's dairy sector. India is number 1 in milk production. Amidst the fear of a third wave triggered by the Omicron variant of corona, the Government of India has come up with some good news. CDSO, that is Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, has approved 2 COVID vaccines, Corbevax and Covovax. In addition, emergency use of an antiviral drug, Molnupiravir, has also been allowed. In this way, the use of total 8 vaccines has been approved in India. Out of these, 3 have been manufactured indigenously. Although India is using only Covishield, Covaxin and Sputnik V in its vaccination drive, almost 90% of the administered doses have been of Covishield. Corbevax vaccine is India's first indigenously manufactured recombinant protein subunit vaccine, meaning that instead of the whole virus, only a part of it has been used in this vaccine. The spike protein of the coronavirus is inserted in this vaccine. This causes the immune system to manufacture antibodies when it actually encounters an infection. The company has claimed about 80% efficacy of this vaccine in symptomatic cases of COVID. On the other hand, Covovax will be a local version of Novavax, which will be manufactured by Serum Institute of India, Pune. This is also a protein subunit vaccine, but a recombinant nanotechnology has been used for it. In addition, the antiviral drug Molnupiravir causes some changes in the genetic code of the virus. This prevents the virus from replicating itself. In India, it has been approved for adult patients having severe COVID. India has achieved some of the targets under the NDC, that is Nationally Determined Contributions. India had talked about achieving 40% of installed electricity capacity through renewable energy by 2030 under the NDC. But due to its continuous efforts, this target has already been achieved on November 30, 2021. Presently, the installed renewable capacity of the country is 150.54 gigawatt. It has 48.5 gigawatt of solar power, 40.03 gigawatt of wind power, 4.83 gigawatt of small hydropower, 10.62 gigawatt of biopower, and 46.51 gigawatt of large hydropower, whereas the nuclear power capacity is 6.78 gigawatt. Thus, the total installed renewable capacity comes to 157.32 gigawatt, which is 40.1% of the total installed capacity. It is worthy to note that on October 2, 2016, India submitted its initial NDC targets. It had 3 main goals. First, emission intensity target of 33 to 35% by 2030. The second target was to achieve 40% of the installed power capacity through renewable energy, while the third was creating an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 gigatons of CO2 equivalent by 2030 through additional forest and tree cover. Let us also tell you that NDCs were at the core of the Paris Agreement 2015. Under Article 4 of the agreement, Each party was to set and assign certain goals to tackle climate change at the domestic level. These targets are to be assigned every 5 years, irrespective of the time frame of implementation. Recently, India has imposed anti-dumping duty on 5 Chinese products. This information was issued by CBIC, that is Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. However, recommendations in this matter were made by the Commerce Ministry's investigation arm, DGTR, that is Directorate General of Trade Remedies. Local manufacturers have to bear heavy losses due to cheap products coming from other countries. The main reason for imposing the anti-dumping duty is to protect local manufacturers from cheap imports for the next 5 years. These include certain aluminium flat-rolled products, sodium hydrosulfide, silicon sealants, R32 components of hydrofluorocarbons, and hydrofluorocarbon blends. Talking about the use of these products, sodium hydrosulfide is used in the dye industry and silicon sealant in solar photovoltaic modules. The R32 component of hydrofluorocarbons and hydrofluorocarbon blends are used in the refrigeration industry. It should be noted that anti-dumping duty is a type of a tax. When the domestic industry of a country makes loss due to cheap imports, then under multilateral treaties of WTO, that country has right to impose anti-dumping duty as a countermeasure. Both India and China are members of WTO. Let us tell you that DGTR was earlier known as Directorate General of Anti-Dumping and Allied Duties. In May 2018, it was renamed as DGTR, that is Directorate General of Trade Remedies. Its main task is to secure and safeguard trade in the country. It functions under the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Recently, the central government issued the Consumer Protection Direct Selling Rules 2021. These rules have been issued under the Consumer Protection Act of 2019. These rules shall apply to all direct selling models of goods and services purchased through direct selling and all direct selling entities. All direct selling entities like Tupperware, Amway, Oriflame will have to comply with these rules within 90 days from the date of issue of these rules. According to the rules, now the direct selling entities will also be responsible for the redressal of complaints in respect of such goods. That is, the companies that sell their products directly to the consumers through sellers and those who are sellers as well, both will have to settle the complaints related to that product. It has also been made mandatory for both to follow the rules of 2020 concerned with e-commerce. Some restrictions have also been imposed on direct selling entities and sellers. They can no longer promote pyramid scheme, nor can enroll any person in such a scheme. Also, these sellers have now been barred from participating into any money circulation scheme as well. Pyramid scheme has also been defined in these rules. A pyramid scheme is a network of subscribers consisting of many layers and which looks like a pyramid. The number of subscribers increases manifold from top to base, and the person or company sitting at the top gets the maximum share of profit. In the pyramid scheme, the person sitting at the top lures some people towards a scheme with bet of higher profit on their investment. At the same time, he also offers that if they can bring more people to the network, then they will get some extra commission. This chain keeps on going forward, which takes the shape of a pyramid. In this, the people sitting at the bottom get the commission, but the entire investment goes to the person sitting at the top. Almost identical happens in money circulation scheme as well. The multi-layered marketing also follows the same structure in which companies make distributors their subscribers. A report was released on the state's role in the implementation of SPMRM, that is Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission recently. Telangana, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat secured the first, second and third position respectively in implementing SPMRM. SPMRM is a Ministry of Rural Development centrally sponsored scheme. It was launched in 2016. The scheme's theme is Atma Gaon Ki Suvidha Shahar Ki. It aims at developing a cluster of villages that preserve and nurture the essence of a rural community life, but the facilities provided in these villages are essentially urban in nature. These village clusters are being called rurban. The word rurban is formed by combining two words, rural and urban. The mission aims at promoting local development, enhancing basic services, and creating well-planned urban clusters. The mission's outcome is expected to bridge the rural-urban divide. It is worth noting that the rural population is about 68% of the total population of India. In addition, the rural population has increased by 12% in the decade that is 2001 to 2011. The government is of the view that the rural population need not travel to the city for availing the basic facilities. For achieving this, providing the basic facilities in the village itself is required. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has launched Azadi at 75-star rating protocol of Garbage-Free Cities Toolkit 2022. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had launched SBMU 2.0, that is Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0 on 1st October 2021. It aims at creating garbage-free cities. In order to fulfill this aim, under SBMU 2.0, every urban local body had a target of achieving a minimum 3-star rating under the star rating protocol. But in the certification round, which was held recently, only 50% of ULBs, that is, urban local bodies, participated. Therefore, some changes have also been made in the protocol so that certification becomes easier and more ULBs can participate in it. The first change is reducing the number of indicators from 25 to 24. Of these, only 16 indicators are mandatory for achieving 1 and 3-star ratings. The rest of the indicators will be required for achieving 5 and 7-star ratings. The second change is that earlier the calculation was done at several levels to achieve the protocol, but the calculation is now being done at only one level. In addition, 50% weightage has been allotted to door-to-door collection of garbage, source segregation, waste processing, and dump site remediation. The entire process of certification has been made digital. Bharatiya Kisan Union has decided to oppose the signing of CECA between India and Australia. The process of completing the CECA, that is Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement between India and Australia, has been fast-tracked. Kisan Union is of the view that the government wants to open Indian dairy sector to Australian dairy players by signing CECA. Actually, Indian farmers who possess less land or who are losing their lands due to desertification are left with the only option of dairy sector through which they can earn their livelihood. If a country like Australia is permitted to operate in the dairy sector, then it can harm the interests of millions of such Indian farmers. The main argument being given for opposing the CECA is that RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, was also opposed as it would have harmed the interests of farmers. There was a proposal in RCEP to approve the import of dairy products. However, India had backed out of the RCEP agreement. Kisan Union is of the belief that as RCEP agreement could not be signed at that time, therefore the government wants to bring foreign players into the dairy sector by signing bilateral agreements with the member countries of RCEP. It is noteworthy that there is no opposition against foreign direct investment in the dairy sector. They are basically against granting some exemptions in importing the dairy products from any dairy-rich country. In bilateral agreements, both the countries offer some concessions in imports to each other. Countries like Australia already subsidize their farmers very well. Indian farmers will not be able to compete with these subsidized dairy products. For this reason, Kisan Union is opposing the CECA. It should be underlined that India is the largest milk producer of the world. Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh are three largest milk producing states. Recently, INS Kesari was sent to the African country Mozambique with food aid under Mission Sagar. Earlier, INS Kesari had also been deployed for humanitarian assistance in Maldives, Mauritius, Seychelles, Madagascar, and Comoros. This was 8th such mission under Mission Sagar. Let us tell you that Mission Sagar was launched in 2020 with the aim of providing assistance to the Indian Ocean countries during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mission Sagar was launched on the lines of PM Modi's vision, Sagar, that is, security and growth for all in the region. This is an important effort to strengthen India's relations with the countries of the Indian Ocean. It was mentioned by the Prime Minister in one of his speeches in 2015. After this, during his visit to Seychelles in 2018, the then Foreign Secretary called Sagar as India's Indian Ocean Doctrine. The Indian Ocean has emerged as an important source of trade and energy in the recent times. 80% of the world's global oil trade takes place through this Indian Ocean. In such a situation, these efforts in India's foreign policy are being made in view of the geopolitical importance of the Indian Ocean. On the other hand, given the presence of China in the Indian Ocean through the Belt and Road Initiative, India too needs better relations with the countries of the region. Desmond Tutu, the eminent Archbishop Emeritus of South Africa, died recently. He was a member of the Anglican Church. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984 for his campaigns against apartheid. He was also awarded with the Gandhi Peace Prize in 2005. Besides, he was also awarded Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009 and the Templeton Prize in 2013. In fact, Desmond Tutu was an archbishop in Anglican Catholic Church. Archbishops are at the third place in the Catholic Church system's hierarchy. Niti Aayog has released the State Health Index recently. In this index, all the states and UTs were divided into three categories, that is, larger states, smaller states, and UTs. The index has been prepared on the basis of three broad domains, that is, health outcomes, governance and information, and key inputs and processes. In the larger states category, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana have secured first, second, and third position respectively. Uttar Pradesh has secured the last position, and Kerala has secured the first position for the fourth time in a row among the larger states. In the smaller states category, Mizoram, Tripura, and Sikkim secured first, second, and third position respectively. In the Union Territories category, Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, Chandigarh, and Lakshadweep secured first, second, and third position respectively. All the states and UTs except West Bengal participated in the index, and Ladakh was not included in this index due to the non-availability of data. Health is a state subject in India, therefore difference in the health status exists in the different states of India. By using the index, a healthy competition among the states can be developed. It should be noted that the 15th Finance Commission had recommended health to be included in the concurrent list. The 7th schedule of the Constitution of India includes the Union list, the state list, and the concurrent list. Both the Parliament and the state legislative assemblies can pass laws on the subjects under the purview of concurrent list. But during a dispute between the centre's law and the state's law, the centre's law will prevail. Let us now look at the 5 questions based on the bulletin.
Questions for this series are: first question is, consider the following statements with reference to Desmond Tutu. 1. He is a renowned South African theologian and anti-apartheid. 2. He was awarded the Bharat Ratna in 2005. 3. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984 for his anti-apartheid campaigns. Which of the above statement or statements is or are not correct? 1 and 3 only, 2 only, 2 and 3 only, or 1, 2 and 3. Next question is, which of the following is a state subject? Health, ports, railways, or international relations? Next question is, consider the following statements. 1. India is the second largest milk producer in the world. 2. Uttar Pradesh is the largest milk producer of India. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2. Next question is, consider the following statements with regard to Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0. 1. It is a scheme under the aegis of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. 2. Its main aim is creating garbage-free cities. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2. Last question is, consider the following statements. 1. Sodium hydrosulfite is used in solar photovoltaic modules. 2. Silicon sealant is used in the dye industry. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2.
So for the time being, that's all in this bulletin. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe Drishti IAS Hindi, English and PCSC YouTube channel. In the end, let's have a look at few more events of the last week in other news.
Sahitya Akademi has announced the Sahitya Akademi Awards for the year 2021. Awards for 20 languages have been announced as of now. Awards in Gujarati, Maithili, Manipuri and Urdu will be announced later. For 2021, awards have been announced for Daya Prakash Sinha for his play Samrat Ashok in Hindi and Namita Gokhale for her novel Things to Leave Behind in English. It is worthy to mention that Sahitya Akademi Awards are given in 24 languages. Apart from the 22 Indian languages mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, these awards are also given in Rajasthani and English. Recently, RCI, that is Rehabilitation Council of India, organized a national symposium on transforming human resource development in the context of NEP 2020. Significantly, the Rights of the Persons with Disabilities Act, that is RPWD 2016, has been implemented by the government. Some of its provisions have also been mentioned in the National Education Policy 2020. In such a situation, it is important for RCI to prepare a roadmap related to special education and disability. RCI was formed under the Rehabilitation Council of India Act 1992. It has been constituted for standardization, regulation and monitoring of training programs in the area of special education and disability rehabilitation. The government has launched a pilot project for the artisans based in Nagaland involved in making of bamboo products. This project has been launched under the RPL, that is Recognition of Prior Learning component of PMKVY, that is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. In this, a particular skill is developed on the basis of any skill already learned. PMKVY is a flagship project of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. It is implemented by the National Skill Development Corporation. Recently, the Prime Minister discussed about Sagar Mule of Goa during Mann Ki Baat. He has been preserving the age-old Kavi art for a long time now. Kavi is a type of painting that was brought to Goa by the Portuguese. Kavi is a form of wall art done in bright red and white colors. It is found in temples of Konkan region of the country, especially Goa, Maharashtra and Karnataka. The South American country Chile is going to write its constitution once again. Inclusion of environmental concerns arising from the continuous and large-scale mining of lithium is also being talked about in this. Lithium mining and its effects will be included in the new constitution. Let us tell you that Chile is the second largest producer of lithium in the world after Australia. At present, lithium is used on a large scale to make batteries. It is being seen as the green fuel of the future. Bihar government will no longer kill blue bull or nilgai or ghurpara. Instead, they will be sterilized to control their growing population in the state. It is worth noting that in Bihar, cases of nilgai destroying crops are seen every day. For this reason, in the year 2015, the Ministry of Environment had declared nilgai and wild boar as vermin in some districts of Bihar. Schedule 5 of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972 deals with the vermin animals. The government has declared soya meal as essential commodities under the Essential Commodities Act 1955 till 30 June 2022. This decision is expected to check any activity which is likely to increase the prices of soya manufactured food items in the market like hoarding, black marketing, etc. Also, the sales and availability will also be controlled. Soya bean is the most important protein source in food. Madhya Pradesh is the largest soya bean producing state in India.